What happens when a single date touches your stomach before anything else in the morning? We are told that dates are a miracle food, an ancient remedy, a burst of pure, unadulterated life. But what if eating them the moment you wake up is actually triggering a quiet storm inside your bloodstream? Imagine your body at 6 a.m. Your stomach is completely empty, a blank slate that has been resting and fasting for 8 hours. Your insulin levels are low, your cells are sensitive, and your digestive tract is waiting. Suddenly, you drop a concentrated bomb of natural sugars, fiber, and dense micronutrients into this quiet ecosystem. Could this simple morning ritual begin an irreversible reaction in your body? A shift so profound that it alters how your cells absorb energy for the rest of the day? Or is it possible that for some of us, this sweet tradition is quietly spiking our blood sugar, forcing our pancreas into a state of sudden panic? In this video, we are not just going to praise this ancient fruit, we are going into the laboratory of the human body. We will uncover the exact 60-minute timeline of what happens inside your blood, your liver, and your gut when a date hits an empty stomach. We will look at the hard science of glucose spikes, and more importantly, we will reveal the 3 specific groups of people who should never, under any circumstances, eat dates on an empty stomach. Stay with us. What you learn today might completely change how you start your next morning. The first 15 minutes. To understand the power of a date, we must look at what happens the very second it enters your system. Unlike a piece of processed white bread or a sugary breakfast cereal, a date does not just dissolve into empty calories. Within the first 15 minutes of hitting an empty stomach, your gastric juices break down its wrinkled skin. Inside that skin lies a highly concentrated mix of 3 natural sugars: glucose, fructose, and sucrose. Because your stomach is empty, these sugars do not wait. They pass rapidly through the stomach lining and enter the portal vein, heading straight toward your liver. For a normal, healthy individual, this triggers an immediate surge of vitality. The brain, which runs entirely on glucose, wakes up. The morning brain fog that traps so many of us in the early hours begins to lift. Your cognitive clarity sharpens, not because of the artificial rush of caffeine, but because your neurons have just been fed their preferred fuel. But beneath this rush of energy, something else is happening. Unlike refined sugar, which enters the blood like a tidal wave, the sugars in a date are wrapped in a tight matrix of soluble and insoluble fiber. This fiber acts as a natural brake system. It slows down the absorption, ensuring that the energy is released not as an explosion, but as a steady, controlled stream. The glucose truth: spikes versus stability. This brings us to the ultimate question that modern nutrition science asks. What does this do to your blood sugar? For years, fitness gurus warned against eating dates in the morning, claiming their high sugar content would cause a massive glucose spike, followed by a devastating energy crash. But modern biochemistry tells a very different story. Every food has a ranking called the Glycemic Index, or GI, which measures how fast it raises blood glucose. Pure sugar has a GI of 100. White rice sits around 70. But a date? Despite its intense, caramel-like sweetness, a date has a glycemic index of only 42 to 50. This classifies it as a low GI food. How is this possible? The secret lies in the ratio of its elements. Along with fiber, dates are rich in polyphenols, powerful plant compounds that inhibit the enzymes responsible for breaking down carbohydrates. Furthermore, the high amount of magnesium and potassium present in the fruit helps your cells recognize insulin more efficiently. When you eat a date on an empty stomach, your pancreas releases a gentle, measured amount of insulin. Your cells open up their gates, allowing the glucose to enter smoothly. There is no chaotic spike, and therefore, there is no mid-morning crash. Your body achieves a state of metabolic harmony. But remember, this beautiful symphony only plays under one strict condition: moderation. The gut microbiome, feeding the invisible army. While your blood is absorbing the sugars, the fiber of the date continues its journey deeper into the digestive tract, arriving at the colon. This is where the magic of the empty stomach truly shines. Inside your gut lives an invisible army of trillions of bacteria, known as the gut microbiome. These bacteria dictate everything from your immune system to your daily mood and neurotransmitter production. When you eat a date before anything else, you are sending a premium fertilizer straight to this invisible army. The specific fibers in dates, known as beta-glucans, are non-digestible by human enzymes. They arrive in the lower gut completely intact. To the beneficial bacteria, like bifidobacteria, these fibers are a feast. The bacteria ferment these fibers, creating short-chain fatty acids, specifically one called butyrate. Butyrate is the primary fuel source for the cells lining your colon. It repairs the gut barrier, reduces internal inflammation, and seals the microscopic leaks that cause bloating and chronic fatigue. By consuming a date on an empty stomach, you are not just feeding yourself, you are fortifying your defenses. You are setting a tone of clean, efficient digestion for every single meal that will follow later in the day. The seed of danger: who must stay away? But nature is a system of balance, and what is medicine for one person can become poison for another. While a date can heal a depleted system, there are those whose bodies are not prepared for this morning ritual. Who are the ones who must stay away from dates on an empty stomach? The first group belongs to those suffering from severe insulin resistance or uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. In a healthy body, the low glycemic index of a date is easily managed. But if your liver is already fatty and your cells have spent years ignoring insulin, your body experiences what science calls the dawn phenomenon. In the morning, a diabetic's blood sugar is already naturally elevated due to a cortisol surge. Adding even the natural sugars of a date into an empty, highly resistant system can cause an unmanageable spike that leaves the pancreas exhausted before the day even begins. The second group includes those fighting severe irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. Dates are incredibly high in a type of carbohydrate known as FODMAPs, specifically fructose. In a damaged gut with a bacterial imbalance, an empty stomach cannot process this sudden influx of fructose. Instead of healing the gut, it ferments too rapidly, pulling water into the intestines and causing immediate gas, severe cramping, and painful bloating. The third group is the most overlooked, those prone to dental sensitivity or active oral cavities. Because of their sticky, tacky texture, the concentrated sugars of a date can cling to the grooves of your teeth. In the morning, when saliva production is at its lowest, these sugars feed oral bacteria, creating an acidic environment that rapidly accelerates enamel erosion. If you fall into these categories, the ancient fruit demands caution. The intellectual reset: brain and nervous system. For those who can safely consume it, the benefits extend far beyond the gut and the blood. Let us look upward to the brain and the nervous system. The modern world strips away our focus, leaving us chronically fatigued, anxious, and dependent on synthetic stimulants. Dates contain a remarkable concentration of B-complex vitamins, particularly vitamin B6, niacin, and riboflavin. When introduced to an empty stomach, these vitamins are absorbed with maximum efficiency, without having to compete with other foods. Vitamin B6 is the primary cofactor required by your body to synthesize serotonin and dopamine, the neurotransmitters responsible for joy, emotional stability, and stress regulation. Furthermore, dates are a quiet reservoir of an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan is the direct precursor to melatonin, the hormone that dictates your sleep-wake cycle. By feeding your body tryptophan first thing in the morning, you are ironically setting the stage for a deeper, more restorative sleep 12 hours later. Simultaneously, the high content of potassium, an essential electrolyte, works to lower vascular tone. It calms the central nervous system, reduces the morning spike in blood pressure, and allows your heart to pump with a steady, unhurried rhythm. It is a feeling of calm resilience, delivered not through a pharmaceutical bottle, but through the quiet design of the earth. Conclusion: how, then, do we honor this potent fruit? If you are to adopt this morning ritual, let it be done with intention. Do not rush the process. Choose organic, unsweetened dates varieties, like Medjool for their rich, soft texture, or Ajwa for their historical and deep therapeutic value. Rinse them well under cold water, acknowledging the dust of the lands they traveled from. Remove the pit with mindfulness. remembering that the most powerful medicines often require a small act of preparation. If you have a sensitive metabolism, pair your morning date with 2 raw almonds or a walnut. The healthy fats and proteins within the nuts will flatten the glucose curve even further, creating an unbreakable shield of energy that will carry you through the toughest mornings. We live in an era where we look to complex chemicals and expensive supplements to cure our modern ailments. Yet, the answers often remain exactly where they have been for thousands of years, hanging from a slender trunk in the arid heat of the desert, waiting for us to remember their power. If this single date can begin an irreversible reaction in your body, let it be a reaction of deep cellular renewal, of a clean gut, a calm mind, and a vibrant spirit. If you found this exploration helpful, explore the deeper truths hidden in the other videos on our channel. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share this knowledge with someone whose health you care about. Until next time, honor your body, trust the science, and remember that true healing begins from the inside.